Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another question and answer session with Jay Lakhani, the Hinduism speaker, with us. Jay is a two-time TEDx speaker. He's spoken at Eton, Oxford, and a host of other places, and is also an author of several books on Hinduism for GCSE and other related topics. So Jay, welcome to to today's Q&A session. I'm going to get started by asking everybody to tell us where you're watching this broadcast from, whether you're watching it live or you're watching the replay, so that we can understand where our audience is coming from. Please feel free to share, give us a thumbs up, let us know that you are online so that we can look at your questions as you put them onto the comments section. For now, we will start off with the questions that we've had since last week. And the first one is from our regular viewer, Mr. Jawad Said, and his questions are as follows. The first is, when we are destined to die, one day or the other, why do humans take birth in the first place? It really hurts a lot and is painful when we lose our beloved ones.
Indeed, you see, this question has not been answered by any philosopher that I know of. Why are we here? Why do we take birth? Why is it necessary for us to go through this cycle of rebirth or whatever we believe in? It is very painful and very, very difficult to, especially when you lose a loved one, it's very hurtful. So why is all this? The answer has not been truly given. In fact, the enterprise of Dharma is precisely this. Who the heck are we? What are we doing here? We never asked to be born. We are born, and if we believe in reincarnation, born again and again, get thumped all the time. So what is the purpose? Because we're going to die anyway. So what is happening? The answer lies, if you like, at the heart of the Hindu tradition, the Dharmic tradition, saying, try and understand your condition, your nature, and come to terms with the world that you live in. That is the meaning of Dharma, making sense of our human condition and trying to resolve it. So that's what we are all trying to do. We are struggling, whole of humanity is struggling to resolve its human condition. So there is no answer, no easy answer. Why this journey? It's a horrendous journey.
Oh, thank you, Jiva. That's quite an interesting answer. Welcome, Raja Pavan Amravati. You're a regular viewer to our channel. We'll proceed to the next question, which is basically what happens to those who are buried after death in the Abrahamic traditions instead of cremation? Do their souls keep wandering here and there till the fossils in the grave turn into carbon?
Yes, you see, this fixation on matter is the reason why this question arises. Somehow we feel we are the body, and the bodily part that we leave behind when we die still somehow is still us. Abrahamic traditions are very strongly attached to the body. That is why they'll try and preserve the body, because they think the body will come back alive. So they are very fixated on the body. The Indic traditions, all the four Indian traditions, do not like this fixation on the body. That is why I say when somebody passes away, the body is an outer garment that's been used up, it's become old, diseased. There's no need hanging on to the body, let it go. So even rather than hold it, and bury it in the ground, they say cremate. Let all the elements that came together go back to nature. So there's no fixation on the body after a person has passed away. Even some Hindus are very fixated on regarding the ashes of somebody who has passed away. I'm telling them, look, the person who has passed away is not linked with those ashes anymore. You are linked with it. You got this sentimental attachment to it. But the person who has passed on cannot be linked with some, kind of granules of bones, etc. So don't get fixated on the body. The body has served its purpose. So even after death, suppose some bodily parts can be used by somebody else, then we say donate those organs rather than just cremate them. So we're quite happy because the person has left it, he's not going to use those organs again. So we don't believe in resurrection. So we are not fixated on the body.
Thank you, JP. So the third question is it permissible in Hinduism to commit suicide as a last option in utter disappointment in order to get released from all the painful, unbearable sufferings in life? Would it not provide moksha?
No, guaranteed not. In fact, that is the last thing you would try and think of doing. Never ever even consider that idea. The reason is this. We have to resolve our human condition. And according to the theory of reincarnation, suppose you don't resolve your human condition here and now, what will happen is that you'll be reborn and you again have to struggle with the same issues again and again. So the fact that you commit suicide is not going to solve you. In fact, it turns you into a pacifist, saying, okay, let things kind of roll all over me and let me die. You don't need to die. You need to stand up. This is the whole idea of spirit. The thing is percolating through your system is the spirit. It doesn't like being pushed about. So when things gang up again, a lot of pain will come, inevitable for all of us. So when that come, the thing is within you has to stand up and say, I am the spirit, I'll fight it, I'll take it head on. You may die fighting, but so be it. Always show the spirit, that is your essential nature. Let it become more visible in the way you lead your life. So never snuff out your life. That's the last thing you want to do.
Great, thank you, Jay. You're another regular viewer on our channel. And before I carry on, I'd like to request all of you to please, again, hit the like or the share button. Let us know that you are enjoying the broadcast today. Please feel free to leave us your questions in the comments area. And what I will do is I will leave you with one question, and then I will swap over with our regular presenter here, Ms. Padma, while Jay answers the question. So this question is by Abhinay Yadu, which is basically asking, people nowadays are more aware of being conscious and of being attracted to universal consciousness. So we are in the Kali Yuga, or going back to Dwapar Yuga in reverse cycle.
Yes, okay. First of all, I personally am not a believer in these long yugas that you sometimes hear about, million-year yugas of Kali Yuga and Dwapar Yuga. I'm not a believer in that. I believe in the findings of modern science, which says humanity came, Homo sapiens were only visible on Earth about 100,000 years ago, and even kind of the most civilized kind of ideas that we possess came about 20,000 years ago maximum. So all these million-year yugas do not attract me whatsoever. If I find anything in my religion that doesn't agree with my common sense, I reject it. I don't swallow it. Okay, that's the first part. The second part is, you are quite right. Humanity is becoming very conscious regarding the if you like, the more central feature about themselves, which is not the external body, even the mental mode they possess, or even the intellect they possess. They are becoming more and more conscious about consciousness itself. Now, this is a wonderful evolution. Humanity is evolving in its own pace. It doesn't require religion. Just kind of stirring up and in a way rediscovering its most serious aspect to itself as consciousness itself. So humanity is becoming very aware of itself and conscious. In fact, I'm telling you, in the earlier days, a prophet would arrive and perhaps, a few disciples will, kind of jump about and dance about and become liberated or become enlightened. In days to come, it's the findings of science and rationality and common sense which will lead millions of human beings to rediscover their essential nature of the spirit without reference to a religion or reference to a prophet. And so be it. Humanity is, I have more faith in humanity than in a God in heaven. So humanity is in a way stirring up. Forget about Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. It is stirring up, becoming much more aware that there is something deep within themselves which they call consciousness. So be it. This is the right direction.
Thank you so much, Jai Bhai, for that, and that's very good. Namaste, hello everybody, and welcome, and please do share, like, and please leave your questions in the comments area for us. So we have a question from Fanindra Kumar. He says that we know that indigenous cows are very helpful to humanity of healthy life. How we can get back those days, and what are the steps people should follow to get back those days?
You see, we recognize for, I would say, roughly 10,000, the whole of humanity. About 10,000 years ago, human beings discovered this wonderful domestic animal called the cow. And because of the cow, I'm telling the whole human race, you became civilized. Otherwise, you'll be hunter-gatherers chasing around, no time for you to settle down, to have families, to develop language, skills. You would have been just running around left, right, and center. So it is this holy cow that has allowed us to settle down and start farming and become civilized. So it's not a minor animal. It's a major animal that has allowed humanity to settle down and become civilized. Not a major thing. So we have been working closely with the cow. Let me be very clear. It's a symbiosis. The cow is a very, very gentle animal. It will die in normal condition. But because the human beings protect them, feed them in the winter time, there is a symbiosis between the cattle and the humankind. So we've been kind of supporting it over thousands of years. So we're saying, okay, the cow is giving us milk, but we must make sure we feed her in the winter, and must look after the baby calves and so on. So it was a very nice, natural symbiosis. The whole of living kingdom is like that, symbiosis. Even if I don't eat meat, I still eat vegetables, so I'm living off living things. So there's a symbiosis. So the cow and humanity have worked together as symbiosis for thousands of years. Wonderful. But then you know what happens? The commercial elements take over. And this is where the problem arises. Even though we hate this word, we are all at the mercy of commercialism. In order for us to get a lot more milk and pasteurized milk and so on, we kind of get caught up with this kind of with this kind of, over kind of, compensating. And the poor cow is at the mercy of humanity at the moment, is used as a machine to just produce milk, more and more milk. And the calves are just used in order for the cows to give more milk, and they're slaughtered. So in a way, this idea of becoming commercial has gone completely out of control and is creating hell on earth, really. When I think about, look at the factory farming and I look at the way the cows are treated, for dairy cows are treated, they are impregnated, just in order for us to get more milk, they are impregnated artificially, and then the calves that are born are just killed. And this is not right. So the equation has become strongly kind of one-sided. So we are not protecting the cow, we are misusing the cow at the moment, and it's a great pity. I hope humanity starts up and says, no, we need the cow and we need the cow's milk product, but let us do it in a very systematic manner whereby we do not demolish or destroy the very animal that has allowed us to become more civilized.
Yes, that's very, very true, because I recently saw a YouTube message where I actually saw how, it was simply a question about milk. So, giraffe's milk is for giraffes, baby koala bears is for koala bears, but cow's milk is for humans. That is not right. The cow has been one animal that has domesticated human beings.
True.
It has domesticated human beings from hunter-gatherers.
True.
So yes, people need to be very wary about what gives us something that we don't take so much advantage that it's unethical. So Uma Wilo has written that I notice churches here in Malaysia run lots of charity activities for children with special needs. Not our Hindu temples. It is due to karma or stigma towards these populations. May I have your thoughts, please? Thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you. Welcome, Uma.
Look, anybody doing any good to human beings, other human beings, we have to applaud. We have to say, fine, please carry on. Now the thing is, the only thing is, what is the motivation? This is what we have to look at. If the motivation is pure, really to help for the sake of helping, then I would applaud them 100%, saying, wonderful job, we have to learn from you. We must look after people who are disabled rather than push them aside. I agree with that, absolutely. But the motivation has to be properly looked at. And I'm pretty sure the motivation is suspect. Because in one hand you can give bread, the other hand you say it's the Bible. When you do that, the person who set up the Bible, the Christ in the heaven will be shuddering, saying, what are you doing? You are turning me into a commercial machine? Just in order to convert, you are feeding some poor people or looking after disabled people just so that you can convert them. If the conversion is the agenda, then I would say, no, it's not. It is better to starve. Really, I'm horrible to say stuff like that. You see, you should not allow your dignity to be compromised just because you are struggling, and people should not take advantage of your, this kind of destitute situation. The second issue that's important is this. The Hindus are very bad regarding disability. I must point this out. We are very bad. You see, in the Hindu family, if you've got a disabled child, they'll try and hide it as a blemish on the family. Won't allow the child to participate in the great activity. It is a great issue. The reason is, again, this blasted, misunderstanding of the law of karma. We somehow feel, we must have done bad karmas. We are stuck with this disabled child. Put him in the back corner and try and forget about it. So we rather than say, okay, things gang up, some genetic mutation, the poor child is disabled, it is my duty to go out of my way to look after it and dignify it rather than hide it and as a blemish, or just blame a law of karma and just kind of sit back and weep. So it's better for us to come up. You see, this idea, there is a stigma in the Hindu tradition that disabled people somehow deserve to be disabled. That is utter nonsense. Nobody deserves to be disabled.
That's very, very true, because I think many people will relate with that the Hinduism culture is very much about hiding something that is not normal. And what is normal? Who is normal? So please do, people, share, like, and hit the like button, and do share things with us. And please leave your comments and questions in the comments area. And please do tell us where you're viewing from. Thank you very much for bringing that up, Umaji. We have a question from Ajay Kundalia. Shivlingam. Why do we pray to Lingam? Can you explain Shivratri, please?
Yes.
Please keep it short.
Actually, I tackled this issue last Saturday. But let me just repeat very quickly. First of all, the word lingam is not a male bodily part. The word lingam, basically, linga in Sanskrit means a symbol. Simple word, symbol. I mean, the fact that you somehow feel that it must be the phallic symbol is horrendous idea. It was natural for the ancient Hindus meditating in the caves to see this kind of stalagmites coming out of the floor, and so this is a wonderful expression of manifestation, something coming out from nowhere and manifesting. So the idea of creation as a manifestation of something underpinning is best represented by this kind of a pillar. That is why we kind of are fixated on the. Haven't you seen the Amarnath cave? There's a natural formation of ice. And this is nothing to do with Shiv's private part. So never allow anybody to make mischief of this issue. It is purely a symbol that represents manifestation, something spirit manifesting as a creation, and this linga. This idea of a symbol of this kind of a pillar is a wonderful way of kind of giving symbolic gesture.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to very quickly go back to the question that Umaji raised, which is, it's dharma. If you feel it from within yourself to look after somebody who's disabled, it gives you, if you have a disabled child or somebody who is afflicted by some kind of an illness, you have a privilege to be able to do something good at home. And everybody says charity begins at home. Where better to start and where better to show how good you can be.
Padma, you answered your own. You had a wonderful explanation.
Ajay Gudalia has another one. He has mentioned about Shivratri. Did we touch on Shivratri?
Well, basically, see, there are a lot of different mythological stories regarding why we celebrate Shivratri. Somebody said this is the day Shiva started his dance of creation, this idea of Nataraj. And on this day, creation came into being, so we kind of celebrate Shivratri. Some will say on this day, some people were praying in a very simplistic manner, and Shiva was very pleased with them, and this is why. Some will say, no, this is the way Shiva got married. There may be different reasons, but the reason why we do is on one particular night, we say, let us have tremendous discipline of ourselves. It's not easy. Stay awake all night, keep a vigil all night. Just focus your mind for the whole night on the concept of Shiva as underpinning to this reality. You may think it's easy. It is the most difficult thing to do. I've tried it. It's very difficult. You soon start dozing off. So to spend the whole night in a vigil on focusing on the principle that underpins this reality of Shiva is why we celebrate Shivaratri. It is a very difficult task. It's a strong discipline we impose on ourselves.
Yes, thank you very much for that. And a very important thing about the lingam, there are people who will find ways to ridicule, and they'll go to quite extremes. Then that is quite a big extreme to go to. Thank you very much, everybody. People do like, share, and leave your comments in the comments area, please. And do tell us where you're viewing us from. Invite your friends and colleagues. Pradeep Kumar. How to convert a Nastik into Astik? Now that's a very interesting question.
I like this. That's why I was looking at it and say, wow, that's a good question to tackle. The reason is this. People somehow feel Nastiks are lost. They're horrible monsters. We must curse them. They're villains of Hinduism. Nastik, how dare you be Nastik? Now, Nastik, in the ancient time, Nastik means you do not agree with the teaching of Vedas, and be careful. So the Buddhists were called Nastik as well. So the idea is not that you are Nastik because you don't follow the teaching of Vedas. The word Nastik is used nowadays to mean a person who's atheist. He's saying there is no God. There are three kinds of people. There are people who say, believe in God, we are theists. Then there are those who say, we are sitting on the fence, we are not sure if there is a God or no God. We are called agnostic, agnan. We are agnostic regarding God. Then there's a third branch who say, we are sure there is no God. This God that you described, cannot be real because it's contradictory to common sense. Now these are the atheists, the strong, hard-headed atheists. Don't look, let me tell you, I find the atheists easier to deal with than the theists, because theists say, oh yes, God is sitting there. No, I say, leave me alone. I mean, I'm not sure about God's address. But atheists are thinking for themselves and trying to come to terms with the human condition and addressing it. So for me, atheists are sweet people. I like them because that's if you're not going to believe in God, because the way you define God, if kind of hits me in the face. Because when you look at the suffering all around, so what kind of a God created this universe? Like the previous question, somebody said, why are we here? We are born and we are supposed to die. Why is all this? And you say, oh, God did it. Then you said, God is a nuisance then, surely. So God doesn't come out so well. So the idea of Nastik is not wrong. Humanity is now moving away from a theistic approach in spirituality, means focusing on the super personality, saying you set us off, so we catch you. They're moving away from that idea, so they're going away from it, saying, no, we don't believe in theos, this idea of super personality. We rather sort ourselves out here and now. So we are just Nastik. We just want to make sense of the world that we live in, use our common sense, rationality, science, and come to terms with the world that we live in. So Nastiks are in a way clear thinkers. So I have nothing but the greatest love for Nastiks. So when you say, how do you convert? the best way, I'm just focusing on Swami Vivekananda's teaching. He said, in earlier days, you'll be called an atheist, means an Nastic in the modern sense, if you did not believe in God. In the days that we live in now, you'll be called a Nastic if you don't believe in yourself. And every youth I come across who say, I don't believe in God. I said, do you believe in yourself? He said, what do you think? What do you mean? Yes, of course I believe in myself. There's something special here. That is, you are already astic without being forced to become an astic. You believe in yourself. That is the real nature of God is you, my friend. So you are already astic without being forced into accepting a God.
That's a very powerful statement. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. We have a question from Karjuna Reddy. God in stone, but stone is not God. What's your opinion?
Yes, that is true, isn't it?
Yes.
You see, the Hindu tradition says everything is divine. Everything is nothing but manifestation of the ultimate reality called Brahman. Manifesting is the creation. So everything is sacred. The planets, the stars, the moon, the mountains, the river. That's why we give sacred status to all the objects, everything we see around us. Even you see, if you go to Shaligram, kind of a nice rounded stone coming out of a particular river, we say, oh, this is the best, representation of Vishnu. So we do all these things all the time. We have recognized that we have given sacred status to the whole creation. Perfectly fine. But be careful, my friend. The question is very pointed. It says, you can say stone is in a way manifesting, God manifesting as stone, but stone is not God. It is not. Because what it is, the manifestation is, according to the high philosophy of Hinduism, is an appearance. So even though stone is there as a kind of giving you some kind of idea, there's something underneath it, really that thing that is you're hanging on to is an appearance. It's a secondary phenomena. So it is, stone is not God, but God in a way manifests as the stone or appears as the stone. We must make the distinction. Most people can't.
Very good. Thank you very much. People, do like and share and hit the like button. Do share our broadcast with your friends and colleagues. Invite them to join us. And I hope you're enjoying this Q&A as much as I am. I'm learning a lot. Every time I come, I enjoy and I learn something new. But it always leaves me with so many questions afterwards that I'm thinking, what is this? Anyway, we have Manjunatha Bhatta. Thank you very much for your question. Even though esoteric Hinduism leads all points of views with the principle of Advaita, some people misconceptualize it as a fundamentalist approach just by using the word Hinduism. I told them it is not Hinduism at all. I don't want anyone to miss this conversation just because the word Hinduism will make them think of some tradition or culture and be scared of interacting. What is your message to them?
You see, we have to, this is again a message that I give out all the time on my WhatsApp clips. We have to move away. Sometimes traditions are a good way of carrying forward things we have collected over thousands of years. So don't just chuck them away, but try and understand why we are hanging on to a tradition. But we have to evolve, my friend. We have to evolve. So this idea, in order for you to engage the minds of the thinking youngsters today, the word religion or the word Hinduism is a negation. I'm telling you from my experience, if I give a talk at a temple, youngsters don't come. All people will come to chew cud, but the youngsters won't turn up. Talk at university, they will turn up. So my own experience is very clear. The word Hinduism or even the word religion has become a negative thing for majority of thinking youngsters of today. If you belong to a sectarian movement, you're fixed on it, you belong to a cult, good for you. We don't want to stop you. But majority of human beings, youngsters are moving away. So if you move from the idea of a kind of purely kind of traditionalist, kind of a temple-oriented Hinduism to a more philosophic-oriented Hinduism, like the ideas of Advaita, something special about the creation that we live in, our own nature and the nature of the creation is something very dramatically different from what it appears. These ideas sit well with thinking youngsters, and these are the ideas that are at the heart of Advaita tradition. So you don't need to fight over words, what level you call it. Advaita is not Hinduism or Hinduism. Simply saying go from the kind of more traditionalist approach to the more philosophic approach, and this will in a way bring about natural, if you like, cohesion within the family.
So this basically is sort of answering another question that a viewer asked us, which is where do we come from, where are we heading, and why are we on this trip? We could talk about this for months and years. It would never be finished. And it's your own translation of it, whatever you think and whatever your experience of life and religion and interaction with other people is. So it's a wonderful question that somebody has raised. Yeah. Thank you very much for this question. But hopefully we're answering this question as we're going along, or attempting to answer the question as we're going along.
Let me tackle this. I tell you why. You see, most of the viewers are not Gujarati speaking, but I must mention this. There's a Gujarati bhajan, beautiful one. Hari tu gadu maru kya le jai. There's a beautiful bhajan which says, my cart, Lord, we have no idea. I'm sitting on a cart, driven by the laws of nature, dharma and karma are the pulling me forward, and I'm getting buffeted by pleasure and pain. And there is no end to it. Why am I here? Where did I start my journey from? Why am I here? And where do I end up? Oh Lord, sort me out, because I'm just getting buffeted by pleasure. It's a beautiful, but some bhajans are very philosophical. This is very philosophical, but that I love. He's saying, I have no clue what is happening to me, why I'm here, where am I going? By the way, where is my destination? Hope that one of these days the light will arise and I will know what's happening. I'm in complete darkness, hanging on with full patience. It's a beautiful bhajan. But anyway, the idea is this. The whole of this idea. Look, we keep going back to the word dharma. Dharma says, look, my friend. None of us applied to be born here, correct? I hope none of you said, yes, we did. None of us applied to be born. Suddenly find ourselves in nappies and screaming and crying and getting whacked and then forced to learn the alphabet and the times table and then getting married and then getting smacked. I won't mention that. Then you get further smacking from you and so on. In life is a difficult task. So I keep asking, why? How did I get into this state? Why? This, in fact, the principal idea of dharma is precisely that. Sorting ourselves out. What the heck is happening? Why am I here? What am I doing? And this is not a negative thing, because this stirring up, look, majority human beings just carry on. How do we carry on? We are looking for identity. What can I link myself? So we just basically focus on the social identity. Oh, I belong to this community. I belong to this religion. I belong to this particular movement. And I must kind of hang on to that's surely the reason why I'm here. So that you kind of, in a way, invent a motivation for being here. And then you stick, your whole life is spent following that motivation. But we know that those who are serious thinkers cannot easily be fobbed off, cannot be bought out easily by just focusing on a social template, saying, if I can just have a big house and go, this is why I'm here. Look, you're not here for that. This is a very temporary thing that come and go. What is going on? When the stirring is serious, then you become truly religious. You are becoming dharmic, real dharmic. You say, what the heck? What? Who? What am I? What am I doing here? Then you search for a reason. And there is you may think, oh, this is a non-ending story, means you just go down in that, that cart up and down. No. When the stirring is serious, a dawn will arise in your own life. And then, you see, this is not just make-believe. You see, all the great personalities have achieved that end. They know who they are, why they are here. And why is not in the sense of some kind of fulfilling some function or something. They know their true dignity as a spiritual being, just on a material journey for the fun of it. And when that becomes fun, you are no longer a slave of this world that you live in, you become the master. That is the aim of dharma.
That is right. These three very simple, short questions have actually touched on a number of areas. And on a lighter note, we might say, well, I ask that question myself every morning I get up. But, but it is what we're here for, isn't it? It's to break out of this cycle and move on to something higher, a higher plane. Thank you very much for that question from whoever it was from. Welcome, everybody. You're here on Hinduism Q&A with Jay Lakhani. We have a question from Raja Pavan from Amravatni. Can Hindus marry people from other castes? The Gotra system prohibits you to marry people from the same Gotra. Could you shed some light on that, please? You
see, the Gotra system, let me tell you, just in the previous question I said, the cows have been a central feature for the Hindu civilization, for all world civilization. It has been a major contributor. So what used to happen is that people who kind of have a kind of herd of cows, and they're kind of living with that, looking after those cows and surviving on those cows' milk, etc. Then they became family, kind of intertwined as families, and they're called Gotra, coming from the same cow shed, if you like. That's the word, the background to the word Gotra. Now it is understandable, haven't you noticed? Somehow the human beings recognize that if you marry within your own group, you produce, your offspring will come with disabilities. We have been noticing this. So that is why you don't marry your sister, or don't try and marry your cousin. We avoid it because it's going to create problem for the offspring. So don't do that. So the marrying in the same Gotra says you're kind of not getting the new gene. You need new genes to produce better offspring. So don't marry in the same. That is the background to the idea, the background why you don't marry in your own family. That's one reason. Now, what about, suppose you say, if you want to marry somebody from another caste or another religion, what? First of all, I said caste doesn't mean something that you're born with. Caste is the quality that you inherit. The quality that you possess gives you, if you like, your caste. If you're an honest, truthful person, sincere seeker, you are a Brahmin. And suppose you say, no, I like to be active and, kind of participate in greater society. Okay, you're a worker. So be it. Doesn't mean you're higher or lower. This is your attribute. And that is your, if you like, your natural tendency. So you follow through. That is the meaning of caste, not hereditary. So if you marry somebody from another caste, don't get frightened by it. Doesn't mean, oh dear, the offspring will suffer. As long as they're not family members, etc., it's perfectly fine. What about marrying people of other religion? Hindus have no difficulty. But one health warning: if somebody says you marry me, but then you change your religion, just tell them to get lost. How dare they? You see, this is a very personal thing, your spiritual journey. How dare somebody kind of impose their own particular plan on you? Say that in that case, rather not get married. You don't truly love me. Go away. This is the attitude you should adopt. And even what about the children of mixed marriages from two different resiligions? Let the children be brought up, exposed to both the traditions. Let the child, when the child grows up, decide which tradition that child wants to follow or perhaps not follow either of them. So be it. Give that openness.
That's very true. So there was a scientific reason to many of the things that we have written down in scriptures, and people think, oh, well, it's just a tradition. There is actually scientific reason for it. In Jainism, we didn't used to eat in the dark because after sundown, because there was no light, and you may be hurting insects and animals and so on. So there was a reason for that. And again, for this, you'd reduce the genetic pool if you marry within. If you marry within, then you reduce the gene pool, and there's a scientific reason. You are most likely to produce recessive genes and produce,
Pradma must crack a bit of humor. The best example of this recessive pull is the modern monarchy, British monarchy. The reason why you get lots of nuts is because this is what they've been marrying with their cousins and trying to keep in order to hang on to their empire or their possession and property, they try and marry within the group so their property stays in the family. Yeah. But thereby they create idiots. I mean, if you look at the monarchy of Britain, it's like a horror story. You see, the people are worshipping them, and forget it. I won't go into that.
In fact, if you look back in history, there was one level of generation of royal children who actually died of haemophilia. They all died of haemophilia simply because it was the genetic pool had been reduced to so little, and we see this in different sectors in the Asian community as well. Amrit Bassi, thank you very much for your next question. What are good translations of the original text? What are good translations of the original text? I believe that the current ones are watered down and many things added, so it is hard to know what to believe. And then we have another one here where Surabjit Roy from Kolkata, thank you very much for that, has said, is the idea of Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar a man-made idea or the truth? Could we try and compact the two together?
Okay, difficult. They are completely different. But let me do the first one. You see, this idea is this. A lot of people, in fact, email me saying, Mr. Lakhani, which translation of Bhagavad Gita should I follow? I give them simple warning. I say, look, be very careful. Bhagavad Gita is a very marvelous, perhaps the best scripture Hindus have got at the moment. Perfectly fine. It's a very comprehensive scripture of kind of all the various approaches in spirituality. But again, the moment somebody gives translation or tries to give interpretation, bhashya on it, if they try and in a way immediately impose their own vision regarding how we should live, what Hinduism is all about. So if you are Advaita, you'll kind of give an Advaita version of the Bhagavad Gita. If you are Advaita, you'll give a Dvaita version of the Bhagavad Gita. They're completely different. So what should you do? Look, I'm giving you warning. If, for example, you want to think for yourself, then ask yourself, are you going to be caught up with a very cultish translation? Or are you looking for a more comprehensive translation which does justice to what the actual verses are all about? Very difficult, but you decide. I won't decide. I was very careful myself when I was studying some of these major text scriptures by focusing on individuals who were kind of comprehensive in their vision regarding Hinduism. They were not kind of cultish or narrow-minded or just focusing on Advaita. And when they had this kind of comprehensive way of looking at things, the translations come out very well. So you choose. My own experience, look, I shouldn't promote any one particular movement, but the Divine Life Society in Rishikesh used to produce wonderful translations of major scriptures. And the Ramakrishna Mission, Swami Ranganathanan's translations are perhaps one of the best ones.
So we have Surabjit Roy. Is the idea of Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwar a man-made idea or the truth?
Okay, look, this will make traditionally shudder. I'm sorry, my friends, I have to do this, otherwise your children are going to come and make you shudder. You see, the Abrahamic traditions say, this is a central teaching Abrahamic tradition, God made us in His image. This is a central teaching of the Abrahamic tradition. The Indian tradition is opposite. It says, no, we make God in our image. As we are human, we think about God as a superhuman. So we in a way project our own aspirations and produce a God in a way that fits with our own requirement. So it is we who are projecting. You see, it's a frightening. People get nervous. They say, in that case, Ms. Lakhani, you think there's no Vishnu? I'm saying, no, there is Vishnu, but look. If you want to project this idea of ultimate reality as Vishnu, suppose you love the idea of Vishnu with 4 arms, good for you. Do you know what will happen? This principle that is without name and form, this Brahman, will take on the form of Vishnu, not make-believe, real, and come and stand in front of you and say, yes, my boy, what can I do for you? He will take on the form of your choice. This is a beautiful thing I've learned. The love of the devotee is so powerful. This formless feature that we call Brahman takes on a form of your desire and comes and stands in front of us. Come on, interact with me. My example, Sri Ramakrishna, my mentor, one moment he's experiencing Brahman, the whole creation, nothing is Brahman. Next moment he says, I want to think of this Brahman as a mother goddess and play with her and sing with her. So you force this Brahman to take on a form and play with him. So this is real life. This happens.
Very powerful. Very, very powerful. People like, share and hit the like button. Do share us and do invite your colleagues and friends and to enjoy time with Hinduism Q&A. We have a question from Rohan. I believe it's from Rohan.
Yes.
Indus Valley have Jainism, Buddhism. Did Vivekananda study these or standardize these?
Okay. Vivekananda never went out of his way to try and standardize or produce this kind of, his own kind of vision of what all these traditions are. You see, you must dignify them, allow them to stand alone on their own feet. So he has always given dignity to Jainism, Buddhism. He has never tried to compromise any or try to standardize. Why should we standardize? Okay, the Indus Valley civilization or the earliest civilization, we have Saraswati Valley civilization, etc., represents a very ancient civilization which is already beginning to focus on the idea of spirituality. How do we know? For example, the symbol of swastika visible, the symbol of meditation being visible. There was no Jainism or Buddhism or Hinduism classification at all. So early Indians, I would say, were focusing on spiritual aspirations through this kind of symbolism and meditation and so on. So this is the only thing we can say. We can't say, oh, already there was a classification of Hindu, Buddhist, Jain. No, they came much later. And Hindu idea, if you can say, the Indus Valley civilization was already exploring spirituality, and then it became codified into different forms of religion that we see in India today.
Thank you so much for your time, Jaji. We hope you enjoyed the session as much as I did. And please do like, comment and share and invite your friends to join us at next week's session. Same time, 1300 hours GMT.
Thank you, Padma.
Thank you.